In today's video, we are going to look at the arguments of complex numbers, but particularly the properties. Now we are going to take a case of z1 as our complex number and z2. Is that okay? Now we may have z1 times z2, and someone tells us find the argument of the product of z1 and z2. It is simple. What we are going to do, we are going to say is the same as argument of z1 plus argument of z2. Are we together? 2. Someone may also divide z1 and z2, and they tell you find the argument of z1 out of z2. It is also quite simple. We say it is the same as saying argument of z1 minus argument of z2. We can have our first example. Someone may say find the argument of z1, z2, comma, argument of z1 out of z2, given that z1 is equal to -1 minus I root 3, comma, z2 is equal to 1 plus I. Are we together, members? So we have to first find the argument of z1. So we have to plot our Argand diagram, and our z1, we say that it is -1 on the real axis, and it is -√3 on the inward axis. Now we have to plot these points, and that is our our z. So we need to find this angle. Is that okay? So that angle will be tan inverse of √3 out of 1, and it is our our theta. So theta is equal to, place your calculators. Yes, someone is saying 60 degrees. Do you agree with it? Then that is good. But that is not the principal argument. This is the angle from the negative x-axis up to the line. So we need this angle. We need this angle, which is theta 1, and it is our principal argument. So we shall say theta 1 is equal to, we shall get this 90 plus this balance, which is a 30. So our theta 1, our principal argument of theta 1 is 120 degrees, but in the negative direction. Agree? Now we need also to find the argument of z2. Is that okay? The argument of z2. So we have to sketch it. So this is the real axis. We are having a 1, and the imaginary axis we are having a 1. Upon plotting them, we shall have something of that sort. And this one is tan theta is equal to 1 out of 1. So theta is equal to tan inverse of 1. So theta is what? 45 degrees. Now the first question was find the principal argument of z1 times z2, and we say that if they want the multiplication, what we do, we just sum up. Is that okay? And we had our z1, which is 120 plus a 45 degrees. So get for me the results. -120 plus 45. Yes, we are having the argument of z1, z2 as negative 75 in degrees. So we have to turn it into radians. So that means that we are going to divide by the principal argument, the one which is required, is equal to 75 negative divided by 180 and a pi. That is question 1. Question 2 requires us to find the argument of z1 out of z2. And we say that this is possible by saying argument of z1 minus argument of z2. And argument of z1 was negative 120 in degrees, and argument of z2 is 45 in what? Degrees. Therefore, the argument of z1 out of z2 is the same as negative 165 degrees. So we have to turn it in radians. So it is 165 out of 180, then a pi. So if we compute that one, we shall get as negative 165 divided by 180, and the result will be negative 11 out of 12 pi. Are we together? So let us go to example 2. Let's go to example 2. We can have our z1 to be equal to 5 and z2 to be equal to 2 plus 3i. Is that okay? Or let us make this guy a negative. So now we need to find the principal argument of z1, and z1 it is here, so it is negative 5. Therefore its principal argument is going to move from here up to there, and it is 180 degrees, and it is the same as pi in what? In radians. Now also let us find the argument of z2, and the argument of z2 we have to sketch. So we have a 2 on the real axis and a 3 on the imaginary axis. So we need this angle theta, and we know by definition that our angle theta is equal to tan inverse of 3 out of a 2. So what is tan inverse of 3 out of 2? So theta is equal to 56.310 degrees. Now we need to find argument of z1 times z2, and we say that it is the same as argument of z1 plus argument of z2. Is that okay? So argument of z1 we say that is the same as 180 degrees, and argument of z2 is equal to 56.310 degrees. So now the final answer is going to be 180 plus 56.310 degrees. So the final result is 236.3099 out of 180, and it should be in pi. So the final answer is 1.313 pi. Is that okay? Now we need to establish the argument of z1 out of z2. So argument z1 out of z2, we said that